Thank you for joining us for episode 5 of 5 Family Favorites. Today's a special episode as we look at sensory input as ways that we as families can be creative and fun and giving our kids the input that they so desperately crave and need. Many of the kids that I work with, and maybe some of the kids that you live with and work with, have a lot of sensory issues. Whether it's overstimulation or not enough stimulation, maybe it's a touch issue or a hearing or a smell, whatever it may be, they deal with sensory processing all day. And normally, in a normal day, they get interactions in all kinds of different ways, whether it's being outside or being at school, getting to touch and mess with things at school or athletics. And maybe right now they're not getting some of that while you're at home. And so we wanted to look at some fun and creative ways that we could do that together, some cheap and inexpensive ways that you can find most of what I'm going to show you today at your local Walmart or at a Dollar General or a Dollar Tree that you can do together with your family. So we're just going to take the senses and kind of look at them together. And then at the end, maybe I've got a special little video of maybe some ideas that you can do to create a sensory walk at your home for your kids and you. So first we want to look at touch. One of the things that we make is a sensory bucket. We talk to our teachers and our families that we work with about having something like this around the house. If you can see in here, there's all kinds of different things in there, different objects, and they all serve a different purpose. You've got felt objects that are nice and easy and soft to use, or I've got a squishy, but this is a stress ball material, so it's a little tougher and harder to squeeze. Of course, you can always go with Play-Doh, fun to mess around with. Today I found this and I really like it. It is filled with beads. It's really for a computer. It's to rest your wrist on, but we're getting creative here to reach out and find things. And so you could freeze this, you could heat it up a little bit. These beads are nice to feel and squeeze and have, and it also has a little bit of weight to it, which is always nice. Of course, we've got some of the old faithfuls, a fidget spinner in here, and I've even got a fidget cube that has all kinds of different interactions on it. It doesn't really matter what you put in this bucket as long as it's something that helps them with their tactile response, gives them something to interact and squeeze with. It can maybe help them when they're nervous, help them when they're feeling anxious, give them something to do that can be quiet. You can take some of these with you to church if you guys are meeting again, or to the doctor's office, different things that aren't making a lot of noise but can still give a lot of the tactile feel. Another idea for touch is to make one of these. This is a bucket full of kinetic sand. Now, I don't know if you've ever messed with this. It's kind of like Mundo, but better. It's better than Play-Doh. It's less messy, and it's kind of crazy. It's got this liquidy consistency, but can be turned into a solid real easy. They can squeeze it and shape it. It's awesome to play with, and it will last a long time as long as you keep it in a airtight container. It's something I've done and like to do. You can get this at an arts and crafts store at Walmart and their crafts department. It's just filled with beads and jewels. It's got stars and different things that they can bury in the sand and find and have like a treasure hunt. Maybe you can put whatever they like to play with in the sand, because it will come right off. It doesn't stick. It's not like beach sand. It's pretty incredible stuff. It's a little expensive, especially when you buy it in smaller quantities, but it's a lot of fun and awesome to play with, and it lasts for a long time once you have it. Good tactile touch responses. Next, we want to look at candy. No, we want to look at food. We want to talk about that for just a minute. Your kids, just like mine, may have some reactions to certain types of food based on how it feels, based on what it tastes like some, but a lot of times when a kid doesn't eat food that has a sensory issue, it's not because of taste, it's because of the way it feels. My kid does not eat eggs or melted cheese because he does not like the way it feels. And so you may be dealing with that. Maybe you have a child that needs some extra stimulation or different ways of being stimulated with with his oral sensors, right? And so one way that we do that is through different types of candies. Now I know these are sugar filled, and we sometimes want to stay away, but these are not for something to munch on all the time. It's to help them get a sense stimulated. Okay, so these Lifesavers Wintergreens, very pepperminty, very strong smell. Or I like these gummy bears. These are Haribo gummy bears. These are the sour ones, and so they give an extra little bite when they eat them. But you can also freeze them, and it makes them harder to chew. So you can use them as a proprioceptive, deep tissue type of massage. Um, Jolly Ranchers are another great candy that you can use to give a little bit of spark, whether it's the cinnamon or fruity. We like them because they're sensory candies. They really open up the senses when you eat them. We also talk a lot about gum. We like our kids to chew gum. It keeps them a little calmer. Sometimes it can help them concentrate when they're trying to write or look at things. But I like the Double Bubble and the Hubba Bubba, not the Tridents and those things. Not for this, because I want it to have a little bit of a bite. I need it to last. And the more they chew it, the tougher that gum becomes. And again, we're talking about senses, and so we need a deep tissue, a chewing down on that. And gum is a great way for them to get that deep tissue overload in their mouth or in their body, doing it through the muscles in their jaw. And so it's a great way to give them that interaction. Touch and taste. Smell is another sense that is all over the place all the time, and maybe something we don't think about in our homes. A lot of us have candles or different smells going on in different rooms, and so you might have a kid that goes into a certain room and they lose it. They go crazy every time they're in there, and it could be associated with the smell. So making a calming smell for bedtime, making a room that's smelling a certain way that they know is associated with playtime or family time. Those are all great ways to use smell in your house, and there's simple, easy, quick ways to do that. Of course, you could buy a diffuser with putting essential oils in here with certain smells. This one is a cheap one. It also acts as a nightlight, which is really nice. You can use a Scentsy. You may have a Scentsy pot around your house. This is my Scentsy pot that you can use to associate what you want. Again, smells are very strong. Senses are very strong. And you want to use smells in your house that are calming, that are alerting maybe if that's what they need. But realize that smells and memories are associated together. Then we have sound. A lot of our kids that deal with sensory issues are overloaded with sounds. Maybe it's music, TV, video games, yelling, screaming in the house, and it gets to be too much. And there are lots of ways that you can combat that. One of the easiest ways, obviously, is to get a pair of noise-canceling headphones. They make them pretty stylish now, where they're over the ears. You don't need to get super, super expensive, although they have some really nice ones that are expensive, but you can also get some relatively cheap ones at Walmart. They have earbuds that do noise canceling as well, but you might be dealing with a touch issue there as they get something in their ear. So I always like to recommend the over-the-ear ones for noise canceling. I know a lot of kids like to use these headphones to go listen to music, but maybe I'm a controlling parent, so I always like to try to hear and know what they're listening to. And so one way you can do that, if they need music to help calm down, to help give themselves some stimulus, is getting a mini speaker, a smart speaker that you can put in their room that you can track and use your phone to help control it if you need to, so that you know what they're listening to. But these dots are relatively cheap now, $30 to $40 that you can get from Amazon or Google. And again, it's just a way to give them the sensory needs that they need through sound, or maybe even taking away the sound if they need it. Thing that you can do in your home that would be fun is to build what's called a sensory path.
There's all kinds of ways that you can do that. And here is one example of buckets and rocks and paint and giving them different things that they can put inside those buckets that represents each sense. But you can be creative with this. Again, you can use rocks, wood, whatever you may have. You can build it on a wall. You can do it out of chalk. There's all kinds of different ways that you can build something like this that would be fun and creative and give the kids a path and something to do to help meet their sensory needs.
So I hope that today's video has helped you and is giving you ways to try to be creative this week and in the days to come as you help your kids with their sensory needs. God bless you this week as you have fun with your families.